Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside 1812, Napoleon's Fateful March. This is a game designed by Brian Asklev and is published by VUCA Simulations. Well, you can tell it's a VUCA game just by looking at the cover. It's a beautiful cover, and you know this is going to be yet another top quality production from VUCA Simulations. This is the first in the Marshals and Quartermaster series. This is going to deal with Napoleon's invasion of Russia. This is an operational game, and it's going to be point-to-point, but there's also going to be not only the point-to-point movement, but there's going to be blocks which are going to be used for hidden orders. So that should be pretty cool. This is a card-driven game. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. 1812, Napoleon's Fateful March is a two-player game that simulates Napoleon's invasion of Russia at the operational level. It is an easy-to-play card-driven system that utilizes secret order placement, which ensures constant tension and little to no downtime. As befits the historical campaign, the game features a strong focus on logistic planning and march attrition with a set of simple but highly narrative mechanics. At the top we have listing of the components. We have a 75 by 56 centimeter board, which I think translates to like 30 by 22 in inches. 108 cards, 2 player aids, 14 leader screens, 4 counter sheets, 1 sticker sheet, 1 rulebook, playbook, 54 blocks, 21 wooden markers, 4 custom dice, and 14 standee holders. The game features unit scales divisions, time scale 1 turn equals 1 month, map scale point to point, approximately 70 kilometers between each point. Playing time is from 2 to 6 hours, and it is for 2 players. Complexity is listed as just a 4. Solitaire suitability is listed as 1, which is to be expected being that you've got hidden orders. And as I said, this is Marshals and Quartermaster Series Volume 1, so it should be interesting to see what else they've got planned in the future. So let's take a look inside and see what we get. All right, we got our rulebook, playbook, our blocks for both the French and the Russians, some dice and cubes, 2 decks of cards, Russians and French, our standee holders, our leaders, sticker sheet, counter sheets, our player aids, which are always nice and thick chipboard, and our map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And here's a look at the mounted map that comes with the game. It is a beautifully done map, just what we expect from VUCA Simulations. Very easy to understand everything on the map, very easy to follow and find things. Along the right-hand side, we have the victory points track. Then we have the turn track starting in June, going all the way through November. Next to that, we have the initiative track, France casualty box, the France force pool, and then the Russia force pool at the top. Those green circles on the perimeter of the board, those are off-map areas for the Russians, and we've got Prussia all the way down through to Austria. The blue ones here, this is for France. These gold circles here, those are going to be key cities and victory points. We've also got some fortress cities like Lutsk, Mogilev, Smolensk, and then looking at Smolensk, you see the Russian flag next to that. That is going to be a Russian reinforcement town, just like Kovno is going to be a French reinforcement town. One thing you'll also notice is you've got these bigger depot symbols. Well, you've got a bunch of little ones sprinkled throughout the map as well, because again, one of the key parts of this game is going to be logistics. So that's something that you'll have to be making sure that you pay attention to your supply lines by keeping your lines of communication open. But overall, beautiful map. It's going to look great on the table. Next, we'll take a look at the player aids that come with the game, and as always with VUCA, they are nice, thick chipboard. We start off here with the map legend, which is going to give you a graphical representation of all the different aspects of the map, as well as an explanation of them, and then the card icons along the bottom. On the back, we have the French and Russian leader abilities, as well as the weather table. On the next sheet, we have the sequence of play, which is going to break down all the steps for you for the phases and the turns, as well as giving you a listing of all the different orders that you can issue to your troops. And then at the bottom, we have the Russian card options. Then on the back, we have several tables, our battle resolution, combat value, battle table, and the attrition table, as well as victory point shifts and retreats after battle, pursuits after battle, all of that explained to you along the right-hand side. Next, we'll take a look at the sticker sheet that comes with the game, and this is going to be for your orders blocks. Your opponent's only going to see your flag. Here we've got for the Russians, and you will see the order that you've assigned to each of your units. At the top, we have the French orders and the French flag. Next, we'll take a look at the counter sheets that come with the game. We've got our French units, as well as some administrative counters, and our leader standees on the bottom left corner. On the next sheet, we have the balance of the French forces, as well as 2 leaders. And then we have the start of the Russian forces, as well as 2 of the Russian leaders. On the next sheet, we have the balance of the Russian forces and leaders, and some administrative counters. On the final counter sheet, we have some more French and Russian forces, as well as a couple of Russian leaders at the bottom left. And then along the top, we have the additional leader counters, if you would prefer to use counters rather than the standees. Next, we'll take a look at the leader screens that come with the game. And as you can see on the sides, you can bend these in, and it's going to give you the leader as well as a spot for placing your units hidden from your opponent. And on the inside, you'll have a listing of the different abilities for that leader. Start off with Napoleon, Bonaparte, Murat, the Beauharnais, Devout, and then Schwarzenberg, the last for the French. Then we have Bagration. Yes, Operation Bagration is named after him. Wittgenstein, Chichagov, Tsar Alexander I, Ditali, Tarmasov, Kutuzov, and Platov. Those are all of the leaders that you get with the game, and these are going to be pretty neat, add a little bit of an extra bit of tension to the game. Next, we'll take a look at some of the examples of the cards that come with the game, and there are going to be 2 decks, one for the French, one for the Russians, but also within those decks are 2 separate decks, one for summer and one for winter. You can tell that by the top left. You have the sun, then you have a snowflake there at the top left, telling you what time of year that you'll be using those cards. Plus, there are other cards that are all year round. At the top, we have the French cards. At the bottom, we have the Russian cards. Pretty straightforward. What we normally see with a lot of these CDGs, we have the ops value at the top right. In the scroll, that number there, that's going to tell you how many extra orders you can give using that card. Or you can use the event underneath it if you wanted to use that instead of the ops. Next to the ops point, you're going to have sometimes an icon that's going to tell you when the card can be used. For example, this card right here, this card is permanently removed from the game once it's used. This card is used in battles. Then you have the exclamation point over here. That's going to be used in response to specific actions which are outlined on the card. For example, this one says indecision. Play when the French either change in order with Napoleon or play the Imperial Guard event. So if that event is played, you can use this card to cancel that event. The same with the orders being changed by Napoleon. Then there is one other type of card you see here. It says must play immediately. That's really obvious. You must play it immediately. That is the command friction card at the beginning of the upcoming place order step. The French player may designate an area with more than 1 Russian leader. This turn, the Russian may only place orders on that area if they discard a card from their hand. And the interesting thing is, at the bottom of each card, you've got a little bit of historical flavor to it. It says here underneath it, the Russian command system was generally plagued by confusion. Meddling by the Tsar, or Kutuzov, only exacerbated these problems. So that's pretty cool. You're not only using these cards to play the game, but you're getting little historical nuggets at the bottom of each of these cards, and I think that's pretty awesome. Normally, I don't show the dice unless they're custom dice, and that's exactly what we've got here. We've got 3 wooden dice in this game. You've got a weather die at the top, just a standard D6, and then on the left and right, you've got the French and the Russian battle dice, respectively, and those 2 are also wood. The interesting thing about that is with these results, like a 4 here, that has the sun icon. That's just going to tell you that that will result only in summer months. Then on the opposite side, you have the snow icon, which is going to be used only in the winter months. Then on the Russian die, you have a die result that will only apply if you are the defender in battle. Next, we'll take a look at the rules. This is a 19-page full-color rulebook. Inside of the front cover, we have the table of contents listing out all the different rule sections and their associated page numbers. listing of the components, a note to players, and a listing of the credits on the bottom left. Then we get into terms and concepts. We were talking about the dice. Here's how to read those for the different parts that they're used for, the weather and then the battle dice, your counters, the different areas of the map, all explained to you. And we have the different orders that you can be issuing. Force march from or force march to, cavalry patrols, march from, march to, evade, defend, rally, Cossack raid, place depot, and forage. Those are the different orders that you can use in the game. Then you have your leaders. Again, you can use the standees or you can use the counters if you choose. Then we have devastation markers. That's going to be where you basically going to scorched earth the area and you can't forage. That is going to be a good tactical option to do sometimes. Then you've got the card explanations here. Then we get into the resource phase on page 8, and then turns 1 through 5, walking you through drawing your cards, your order selection, order placement, optional rule at the top, how to execute your force march orders, your march, cavalry patrols, evade orders, all explained to you, resolving battles with a couple of illustrated examples, calculating your combat value for your battle events, checking the battle table, assigning losses, battle victory and pursuit, VP shifts, initiative shifts, tied battles, retreat, draw a card, increase devastation, execute the rally order, another optional rule down here, Cossack raid, place depot orders, attrition, and then the lines of communication, as well as forage order, and then the end of turn on page 19. So it looks like it's going to be pretty straightforward because now we're at the back of the rulebook. And lastly, we have the Playbook, which is a 22-page full-color book. Inside of the front cover, we've got the table of contents listing out all the different sections of the book and their associated page numbers, as well as the different scenarios that we'll have in the game. And we have a beautiful painting here at the bottom. Scenario 1, the Eagles march on Smolensk. It's going to give you all your setup information, your card deck, French starting hand, initiative marker, scenario special rules, victory conditions, and then use the June setup on page 5 through 6. Scenario 2, Eagles march on Moscow. Scenario 3, the Grand Campaign. There's that June French and Russian setup. Scenario 4, Hollow Victories. Scenario 5 is Battle of Smolensk campaign start. And then we end with Scenario 6, the Retreat of the Grand Armée. Then we have player's notes, dice and deck statistics, human cost of the campaign, designer's notes, and then a bibliography at the back. And then we are at the back of the playbook. And that is a look at everything you get inside of 1812, Napoleon's Fateful March. This is a game designed by Brian Askalev and is published by VUCA Simulations. Well, one look at this and you can tell it's a VUCA product because their games are just top-notch. They're setting a whole new bar for the entire wargame publishing industry, and it is fantastic. The gameplay looks to be on par with it just by looking through the rules. This is not going to be a very difficult game to get into at all. Rules really don't start till page 8 and they go to page 19. So you got about 11 pages of rules. All the stuff before that is explaining to you the different components and how to use them. And if you're familiar with CDGs, you're going to know pretty much what to do because it's pretty straightforward. You have your ops points, you have your events. You will have some cards you can play immediately, some you'll play in a response, some you'll play during battles, and then of course you have also summer and winter cards, as well as the all year round cards. The interesting part is going to be using the blocks here for your hidden orders. That's where it's going to be the cat and mouse game. You're looking at your opponent, you're trying to see what they're doing, what they're committing to do based on the orders that you put out there. And obviously when you put the orders out there, you're going to have to follow through them. So you have to figure out, okay, are they force marching? Are they marching? Are they going to set up an attack over here? Or is this a diversion or a feint or something like that? I think that aspect of the game is going to make it really interesting because mechanically it doesn't look to be a difficult game, but that's where the strategy part becomes real interesting. Now that means obviously with the blocks that it's not going to be a solo friendly game, at least not for now. Maybe someone will come up with a solo system that can change that up, but we'll see. I will play it solo to learn it like I do with all games, I sit down and learn how to play solitaire, and I'm not going to worry about what I'm going to do with the cards. I'm going to play both sides to the best of my ability and do what you should do for those orders. Still probably going to throw myself off because I don't have a great memory when it comes to what I'm going to be doing on either side. So I'm still going to surprise myself, and it'll be a lot of fun. But really looking forward to getting this one on the table. And I think this is going to appeal to a wide audience because this is not going to be a game that only attracts war gamers. I think a lot of people that are just average gamers that can understand the CDG system, which is not difficult to explain to them, and they have an interest in history, I think they're definitely going to be wanting to play this game as well. So looking forward to getting this one on the table. It's going to be a beautiful one on the table, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play. Well, I hope that helps you guys if you've been curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.